Hello everyone, you're on the Big Machines channel. Today I have a job to do, repairing the cylinder head of a GAZ 53 engine ZMZ 511. That means I have two cylinder heads removed from a past bus, 3205, so I'll be doing a full repair. I've disassembled and cleaned them, and you can see the condition here. The exhaust valves are in very bad shape. You can see the pitting. The wear is very extensive. So first I'll recut the seats, then I'll grind the valves on the machine, and then I'll lap them. Well, the exhaust seats are a bit better, of course, but I'll do them as well. While I'm at it, the guide bushings aren't worn out. The guide bushings don't have any play. That's why I won't touch the guide bushings. They're all fine here. So if I don't touch the guide bushings, that means I'll definitely have to work on the exhaust valves, because there are some very deep pits, as you can see. But as for the intake valves, I don't have to touch the valve face. I can just make the seat's contact surface a bit narrower and lap the valve. I'll show you how. It's done now. So, using this valve seat cutter set for the GAZ 53 engine. That is good seat cutters. Everything is ready. Let's get started. Trogax. Okay, I recut it. The upper one with a 15-degree cutter with the seat cutter. So, here I want to show you. This is my sealing surface. I won't touch it. Here I took it off from the top. I made the seat a bit narrower. I'll take a bit more off the bottom. I won't touch the sealing surface of the exhaust valves. Same here. So this is a little trick. You can do this if you don't change the guide bushings. If they're not worn out, and if there aren't big pits on the seats, for example, here on the exhaust seat, this won't work anymore. Here you'll have to fully restore it. But if there aren't big pits, then basically you can just make it narrower and lap the valve. So it's much simpler and faster. That's a little trick. Well, now I'm going to cut the 75-degree angle. So, I've gone over it with the 75-degree seat cutter. And the sealing surface here remains untouched. And that's it. So there's about 1 millimeter left. But when lapping the valve, it will increase. It will be about 1.5 millimeters. So, just as it should be. I'm going to start reaming the exhaust valve seats. now, though there will be a bit more work involved. So I finished reaming the exhaust valves. I went over the exhaust seats with a 45-degree seat cutter. That means I have cut away the sealing surface. I'm working on it until all the pits are gone. That is, until it reaches this condition. Here I left one seat, didn't cut it all the way. It's for comparison to show how it cleans up. So here we can see it's cutting here, and here there were some deep pits. This valve was essentially not working at all, but this side is slightly better. So now I've established the sealing surface, then I'll make it narrower. That is, I'll adjust it to about 1 millimeter in size. Cut 15 degrees on top and 75 degrees on the bottom. I'm not sure if it will be visible. So, this is the seating surface I have left. I removed this part with a 15-degree seat cutter. So, we remove more than half with the 15-degree bit. Then we even it out from the bottom, and that's it. Because if you remove more with the lower 75-degree cutter, the seating surface will shift somewhere to the side. So, if we use the 15-degree bit, it will move closer to the center of the valve. And if we remove more with the 75-degree bit, the contact band will move to the edge of the valve, which is very bad. That means the valve is thinner here and it wears out quickly, burns through, and so on. There. I've cut all the seats with the 15-degree tool. It's hard to see. You can see it better here. So this is what I have left. A 45-degree seating surface. I removed this upper one. Now I'm going to cut with the 75-degree cutter. These little grooves that are left will be smoothed out. And I'll repeat, the width of the seat should be about 1 to 1.5 millimeters. Alright, I finished 15 градус with a 15-degree seat cutter, and now it's hard to see, of course. Now here, but this surface here is the working surface I have left. This is my 15-degree one. This is my 75-degree one. So this surface is the working surface, about 1 millimeter. Well, when I lap the valve, it will widen to about 1.5 millimeters. So this is how a recut valve seat should look. More material is removed. The 15-degree one removes less than the 75-degree working one. Well, here it's less than 0.5 millimeter, but that's not important. When it starts to wear in, it will take its normal shape. Here we look at it the same way. This is my 45-degree working surface. This one is the 15-degree cut, and this one is the 75-degree cut. So again, I didn't touch the working surface on the intake valves, so that means there will be less work. Lapping here is literally a matter of minutes. There it is, it stayed as it was. I just made it narrower. Removed the 75-degree angle at the bottom and the 15-degree angle at the top, that's all. The seats in the head have been recut. Now I'll grind the valves on the machine and lap them. To be continued, here are the valves from this cylinder head. Here, if you look, you can see there's still some shine on the intake valves, which means they were still working. Accordingly, there are fewer pits on the seats. If you look at the exhaust valves, you can see, well, these have already been cleaned. Before, they were covered in carbon deposits. There was a lot of buildup here, especially on the working surface. And we can see that there's not even a trace from the seat, meaning the exhaust valves. But usually they suffer more, and that's the case with all cylinder heads. So now I'm going to put them on the machine and cut the working surface to a 45-degree angle. So this is what the valve looks like after grinding. So as you saw, there was wear and pitting, so you grind it down until the working surface looks like this. Alright, now the rest of the valves and lapping. So I rejected one valve. So here we can see the surface, everything is good, everything is great. Well, right here in this spot there's a crack. And so accordingly it continues. Onto the working surface, here it is. I don't know, will it be visible on camera or not? So although the valve was covered in carbon, none of this was visible. But when we cleaned off the carbon deposits, this defect immediately became visible. This is how the valves look now after machining. As I mentioned, I rejected one valve. Another valve arrived to replace it. It's also used. Well, now I'll start lapping the valves. Alright, I'm lapping the valves. I'm using this kind of lapping compound for lap. Well, just a standard lapping compound. I spread it like this. A little bit of oil. And, well, some oil on the valve stem itself. That's it. I'm lapping the valves with a drill. I inserted the valve like this and clamped it in the drill from the other side. With a little effort at low speed. Yes, maybe someone will say it's wrong. I won't argue with anyone. I'm just showing how I do it. Always. And I keep lapping it until it looks like this. Well, here you can see a clear contact band all the way around with the shine on the seating surface. So as I said, the seat has gotten wider. In width it's become, well, roughly, let's say about 1.5 millimeters, maybe a little more. And this is what the valve looks like. Here, too, the contact band is even and clearly defined. That's it. I'm wiping off the remaining paste. That's done. Moving to the next valves. Alright. So I've wiped the intake valve. This is what it looks like. Let me remind you, I didn't machine the face of the intake valve, just narrowed the seat. Now, I want to show you the exhaust valve. Erniti, I completely restored the valve face on this one. This is how it looks now. We can see the contact all around. That's it, a clear contact band. Well, the seat material is a bit different, so the exhaust one doesn't shine as much. And this is what the valve looks like. You can see the contact band is right in the middle. Although I mostly worked with the 15-degree cutter, if I had worked more with the 75-degree one, this contact band would be right at the edge of the valve. This is what it looks like. Okay, so all my valves have been lapped. Here, let's look at the seat. We see that each seat is about 1.5 millimeters wide. That's exactly how it should be. You can see the shine. Here, let's look at the valves. On the valves as well, we can see it. We can see it. Clear marks here from the seats. Alright, the valves are lapped. Now I'll install the valve stem seals. This is the brand. I don't know, I opened them up and took a look. They're kind of really hard. Well, I don't know, you use what you got, as they say. Some of them are just really tough. Weird. Well, alright. You work with what they brought, as they say. So, I'm installing them with improvised tools. That is, I'm using a cutter shank and a 16 mm socket, and the cap fits here very well. Of course, you could machine a special tool for this, but then again, you'd have to look for someone you know to do it. Just like that. Alright, I'm starting the installation. Here I've installed the valve stem seals. Well, I just want to say, don't forget to put in the washers before you install the valve stem seals. I often have this problem myself. I'm speaking from my own experience. You install the valve stem seals, forget the washer, then have to pry them off and ruin them. Well, this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to install the valves. I've assembled the cylinder head, and now I put it on the machine. Now I'm going to true up the surface. This is what it looks like.
Well, I've machined the cylinder head. I had to take off about 2/10, a tenth. I also wanted to show you something. These are pretty interesting. How should I put it? Not really pitting. The metal structure is just interesting. Each head is unique, so when you grind them, they're all different. That's how it goes. Like on this GAZ engine. That's how it turns out. Well, the cylinder head is ready. That's how great it looks right now. Well, and the second head will have a similar repair. Of course, I won't show it. The same process for the second time. So that's the kind of video I ended up with. Thanks for watching. Good luck and goodbye, everyone. Continuation.